So this is Phil Corvo, former manager of Wisconsin Public Radio back in the 70s. I think it's probably around 1969 or 70. And this is in Radio Hall before we got into Vilas Hall. And that's our main control room. And that's Jim Fleming without his mustache. And he's now in Vilas Hall, and that's one of the music control rooms. And there's Jim with his beard several years later. We had a temporary music control room in an office, and that's where he is there. So this is the FM studio, the main NPR News and Classical Music studio at Vilas Hall. And this was the second time we rebuilt that studio. And so we put in new wood floors and cleaned the windows and did all that kind of thing. This is 1986 at the WGBW in Green Bay. I believe this was the room used by the news staff. So this is about 1988, and it's a satellite dish, and it's actually a satellite uplink, and is one of only 20 uplinks in the United States. And we were responsible for this, and we installed it. The fellow standing to the left is Mike Burns, who was an engineer who worked for me. Between the two of us, we installed it. It was a lot of fun. We put it up on the mount and added all the electronics and turned it on, and then for a moment, nothing happened. So Mike leans over and turns down the squelch a little bit, and all of a sudden we hear NPR, and that was amazing. That was really a surprise to us. So this is around 1992. It's the base and walkway out to the WHA AM tower on the east end of the Arboretum in Madison. We had to install this walkway to the base of the transmitter because it's a marsh, and if you walk out to the marsh, by the time you get to the base of the tower to do some readings, you were soaked. So we decided we'd had enough of that, so we built this walkway. Unfortunately, over the years, the thawing and freezing of the ground twisted all those 4x4s in the ground, and it became a rather hazardous walkway going up and down and left and right. Today, we just replaced that tower and transmitter recently, and we actually have a brand new walkway, so it's much nicer. So this is Dana Rem, and this is about 1998, and Dana was a former director of radio. And this is the groundbreaking for our stations in Ashland. The two Ashland stations repeat our main stations in Superior, Wisconsin. So this is Greg Schneering, and this is part of a ceremony where WRFW in River Falls, Wisconsin, became an affiliate of the Wisconsin Public Radio Network. And this is the chancellor receiving a WPR t-shirt. And these are some of the staff members listening to WRFW. I think they were listening to Larry Mueller's show for the first time on their air. So this is Greg Schneering again in Door County, dedicating our repeating sites up in Door County and Sister Bay, WHDI, which is the Ideas Network station there, and WHND, which is the Classical Music Network station there. This is Steve Konopka, an engineer for the Educational Communications Board, which is the Department of State that helps distribute and maintain both the radio and television transmitters all over Wisconsin. He's pointing at the new WHDI and WHND transmitters in Door County. And this is a billboard just outside of Green Bay talking about how WPNE in Green Bay was now going to be heard in the Door County area. This is a new NPR satellite downlink that we installed right on top of Vilas Hall. Actually, it's only about 100 feet from my head right now, right above us. The receiver used to be located right next to Camp Randall Stadium, but that's about a mile from our headquarters. And it would lose power, and we'd get our cables cut every once in a while. And so we decided, after living with that situation for 15 years, to move it back to Vilas Hall. So we installed a brand new satellite dish. This is a shot of the Eau Claire Bureau around 2005. This was right after we rebuilt the studios. We're still installing equipment at this point. This is several pieces of equipment in a rack in our Wausau regional studios. This is right around 2007. The top unit is an audio limiter that sets the levels from the bureau to the transmitter. The middle unit is a distribution amplifier that distributes audio around the studios. And the bottom unit is actually the unit that connects our studio in Wausau to Rib Mountain, which is where our transmitters were. And this is the new Milwaukee studios before we finished it, certainly. This is the entranceway into that studio. It's the second largest studio of all of our regional studios. This was right around 2008. This is Studio B in Superior Regional Bureau, right around 2008. This was right after we installed brand new equipment in that studio. They actually have 4 studios in Superior. This is the Green Bay studio, and around 2009, after we rebuilt that studio, they have a new studio, which is on the other side of that piece of glass, and this is the main control room. We have to rebuild all of our studios about every 15 to 20 years. We also rebuild studios when we move our regional bureaus from one building to another, which happens more often than we'd like. In this case, Wausau is actually going to be rebuilt next year. We're looking at the home pages that we've had on our website. So the first one here is from 1996. This is actually, I think, our first homepage, and this is about all we had. It was a couple of national programs, actually 4 of them, and how to contact us and our program schedules. That's all there was. In 1996, there wasn't much out on the web. There was no Google at that time, and we didn't have any streaming at this point. So 1997, we added some color, but it looks pretty much the same. We added our audio store and programming index. In 1998, we've got much larger website. We added a lot of links, a lot of color, and you can see all the national links on the right to all the programs that we carried. 1999 to about 2000, this is what our website looked like. We opened it up a little bit, made it a little bit less colorful, a little bit less busy. And you can see Wisconsin Votes on there. And then we had drop-down boxes because even then we had 24 stations. And so it's always been difficult to give everybody easy access to all of our information. In this case, it was our program schedules for all 24 radio stations. At the bottom is the first time you'll see our live webcasting. What's coming up? I'm not sure I can speak to the next 20 years in radio engineering. I think it's going to be difficult for broadcasters altogether because of the web and because of how a lot of viewing and a lot of listening is now mobile. Certainly a lot of listening is mobile with podcasting and live streams and so on. With my mobile phone, I can listen to almost any station in the world, so it becomes really important for radio stations to give something extra, not just music, not just talk, but something that has something to do with their locality, something else that you want to hear that is more meaningful for you, perhaps. And so in that case, it might be local and regional news, or it might even be people who are talking about the music, but somebody you know or have seen or lives in the same area you do, and you can localize that music in somehow. I think the growth of streaming is going to continue, and we're going to be seeing a lot more mobile video and a lot more access to archives. Something that WPR is just getting into is allowing access to all of our archives back 10, 15, even 20 years of audio, and have it indexed in such a way that you can find something. You can find an interview with some local, regional, or national figure, or listen to classical music ensemble from 10 or 15 years ago that we may have